pros of being pregnant.
Microphone.
Yeah, I thought I would try this fancier boom. It's called a boom, I believe. When it has like an arm that comes out like this, to see if it works, and I like it, so I might invest in one or two more, but just, they're not free.
They're not. Too close.
No, that was perfect.
You startled me.
The closer you get, the softer you can talk, and the more.
Or
you get like a.
But what if you are not known
More
for talking
sultry.
softly?
You're not known for talking softly.
Also, I'm very insecure that like most of this podcast is going to be just my heavy breathing, which is not quiet.
Pro tip: don't breathe into the microphone. Just
you also don't have
in.
to.
That's just me now. That's my life.
Just
you
lean
can, like,
in
go
when
back.
This is.
It's also the benefit of the headphones. You can hear your heavy breathing.
I'm very conscious of it.
You've still got Mike Capizzi's name up there, so apologies about that.
I'm not Mike Capizzi.
Nope. Fix that really quick.
Who am I?
Who are any of us?
What does it mean? Savage. How's everybody doing?
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a little more than that since we're podcasting.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Oh, I should probably stop messing around with the thing then.
We're in it.
Yeah, we're in it.
I'm doing great. I've got 2 coffees.
I'm Andrew Resick. That's Kelley Jackson, my wife, my life partner. And that's Sean Crocker. Welcome back to the Gambit Stratagem Podcast. We're here to discuss today working out with the physical ailment known as pregnancy.
Which you've had some exposure to recently with your weight vest endeavor.
Yeah, I've been wearing a sympathetic weight vest during
The workouts of your choosing.
3 workouts. I mean, I'm sorry. Sean even said as I'm warming up, he's like, it's really hard to do a bar muscle up in a weight vest, like with a plate carrier, because you don't realize.
I wouldn't know because I can't even do one. Feel bad for me. You could have done ring muscle ups.
I mean, you said wear a weight vest, not. Yeah, I could have done ring muscle ups. I guess that's true.
I
tried.
I appreciate the participation.
Appreciate my sacrifice.
Yeah, it's.
Jeez. I mean, I'm here for it.
He did it without the weight vest and won at least.
That's fair. I do. You should sleep in it.
Yeah, I beat Sean by like 7 seconds. Sean told me about his workout, and I was like, it was one of those days where you're like, oh, I got this in the bag. I'm going to beat him by minutes. And then I was like, after the first round, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to beat him at all.
You were well behind pace until you went unbroken on the last muscle ups.
Ooh. Hey.
As you do.
I do think you should sleep in the weight vest one night. That's really where that's the most challenging being pregnant, I found.
Then if I sleep in the weight vest every like 30 or 40 minutes, do I get to go?
I'm not aware of any of these noises. So, yeah, if that's what naturally happens when you're sleeping with an extra, like I feel like it's just it's sleep apnea.
I was gonna.
I wish they would have named it slapnea.
Trying to take the edge off your mic. And
this is what would happen. That's probably how I'd sound if I actually gained 30 pounds without a baby.
Is that how much you've gained?
No.
No, I just picked an irrelevant number.
I mean,
so I'll just say
close.
this right up front. This episode of this podcast is kind of about you and working out during pregnancy. So some factual information would be super helpful.
Beautiful.
Like, accurate.
I've gained approximately 22 pounds on my last doctor's visit, which was
Okay.
3 days ago,
And
and I am 36 weeks pregnant.
It's just
36.
10 kilos.
And excellent. This is the hard-hitting factual information people came for.
36 weeks is how many months?
What's 36 divided by 4?
It's 8. It's 8.
Or is it 9?
I think it's 8.
No.
8. Okay, so I'm 8
9
months.
is when you're
Sounds more
done.
confident.
Yeah.
Well,
4,
You're
8,
about.
12, 16,
It's supposed to be
20,
40. It's a
24,
40-week term, right?
32.
People are. If anybody's watching,
I'm
they're
9
like,
months pregnant. Yeah.
they're like, these guys don't know shit about it.
Yeah.
Joel just texted us. Was that Kelley making that noise?
Likely.
See how accurate it is?
Likely.
My impression.
Yeah, so I would say almost or am 9 months pregnant because pregnancy is 10 months, which nobody talks about.
That's true, and nobody also talks about what your sister-in-law brought up, which is the 4th trimester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing. Kelly's sister-in-law was informing us that there's she called it the theory of the 4th trimester, which is just to say that like you want to like swaddle your baby and basically like replicate womb like scenarios, which actually makes a lot of sense to me because humans have kind of grown in such a way that they're almost born a little bit early. Like they'd probably theoretically, based on how kind of like relatively advanced we are as creatures, would stay in the womb longer and develop longer, but it's not physically possible for us to carry them. So like if we can kind of replicate womb-like situations for the following 3 months, that's beneficial, which I don't know. I haven't read anything about it, but it logically makes sense to me. And it also doesn't seem like that crazy of an idea.
Yeah.
It's not like we're making any drastic decisions, but just you saying that.
And for somebody being pregnant and for you being along in this journey, we've not, like, I still know very little about pregnancy. Where I like JJ and Sarah are also expecting, and he came into the gym the other day and was very excited about the size of his baby. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I only know how big my baby is. And he was like, our baby's big. And I was like, okay.
How big is your baby?
5 pounds.
Luigi.
Well, yeah, just
Probably
under 5 pounds. Probably bigger by now.
I was going to say 5 to 5.5. They told us a half pound a week.
Yeah, so he was
Would
just
be-
under 5 pounds 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So you've gained 22
he's-
pounds.
Yeah.
He's about 5.5 pounds. And for reference, if anyone hasn't seen Kelley around the gym or out in public, if you see her from behind, she doesn't look pregnant at all. Just
I've
for
not seen
reference.
myself from
I
behind.
don't know. I'm
So
having so much trouble with this stand. Seems like it's slowly drooping over time. Maybe it's just me. I feel like it's not going anywhere, and then I'll talk for a couple minutes, and I look up, and I feel like I'm hunching over to talking to my mic, so I apologize. So I think in traditional for the Gambit Stratagem Podcast, very little prep work went into this. We're having a pretty casual conversation.
Speak for yourself. We got the backdrop up.
Yeah, we did do that. That's fair.
we're prepared.
That's twice as much prep work as we usually do.
Yeah.
Usually our prep work is 5 minutes of getting mad at Apple TV and just hitting play.
Well, they like very suddenly updated the I was for the one person that's watching that's super interested in the tech side of the podcast.
I think it's Joel. Is it Joel watching?
I don't know. I don't know if I can tell who's watching. Oh no, there's 4 people watching.
Nice.
All right, hello 4 people.
Excited.
Yeah, they updated this thing, and it's really cool that I can like my cell phone's just on a tripod, like wirelessly broadcasting our video side of things, and then we've got some fancier stuff obviously going for the audio. But I was able to also share my screen to the TV and kind of flip up websites or whatever, and then all of a sudden there was a software update that reduced my ability to multitask, and it was like, well, you can no longer use your phone as a camera and project things to an Apple TV. So that's Sean's department now. So if we want to pull up a website or anything,
Hell yeah.
see if you can get some clips up of Tia Toomey
working
out pregnant. Tia Toomey 0.5.
0.5. Wow.
Just out of curiosity, because I think that's inevitably going to be like if we have members watching
I mean,
and or listening, they would inevitably make a comparison because she's been lifting a lot of weight and training at a really high level. And I think that's an important aspect to this is like there's before you kind of share your actual opinion, I'll share my kind of thoughts is like, for one, she's got a little bit of a higher bar because she has won the CrossFit Games multiple times and sells.
She is in fact more fit than I am.
Yeah, is more fit than you. Even at your best, was more fit than you. Like her peak is higher than your peak, so obviously we'll get that out there. But also, she's got more of a reason to maintain a higher level of training right now than you do.
Yeah,
even
sure.
though
I think
she's like retired, she's selling programming.
I don't think she's retired.
I think she has aspirations to come back.
Oh, does she? I thought she.
I don't know if that's been communicated, but yeah,
I thought I heard that she.
I
was
would say
really
she's
done.
got aspirations to come back. She's relatively young in terms of female CrossFit.
Well,
I mean, they're getting younger and younger, but.
Well, the point still stands. She's got more of a reason to stay fitter. So she has more motivation to train harder because she's. What was it? The 1 rep? Is this the 1 rep max thruster thing?
No, this is the snatch workout.
23.3.
Where she snatches like 155 pounds.
What did she hit on the thruster workout? The 1
like
rep max thruster?
Almost 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe I definitely more than 185. Yeah.
So you just got upside down yesterday.
Yeah.
How was that?
Honestly, and I think that's what a lot of this
kind of good
conversation is about. Is like I'm comfortable getting upside down.
That was a no rep.
Yeah. So a lot of these movements where I was like, I guess I let Tia submit her scores, and I was like, well, if they've accepted that as prescribed, then I will submit my workout as prescribed also. But like technically, chest and thighs aren't fully hitting the floor, so there's some like question with that. But like, is it any less legitimate? No. I mean, there's way more control needed when you've got a baby in front of you. So, like I submitted this workout as prescribed. But,
casually just having Sam Briggs as your judge. Is that what I'm seeing?
Also, look at Sam's shoes.
That's kind of legit.
Oh yeah.
What are they?
Jordans? I don't know. I don't know shoes.
That sounds right.
Shoes to me are like watches. Like there's too much to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can still see like her body fat is extremely low because you can see like her abs defined around the outside of her.
Well, and I think what's so impressive that
no contact.
Zero contact. Yeah.
Well, having tested this workout, it was harder going down than it was going up.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And like that's how I would have snatched this weight regardless.
I think that
you would have kept it a little closer.
The conversation of like
a little bit
relativity is super important because people would look at that like your doctor. I like to point out we went
had
to
an
your
interesting
doctor,
start. Yeah.
And she said, and I'm. As I think I'm exaggerating. Like when I walk out of a doctor's office and I say, "Can we find a new doctor?" Because she's just a little bit Real Housewives of St. Charles or something, or of Chesterfield. She's a very like,
high.
Oh my God, how we doing? Like
she's
super
more
nice,
excited
super nice.
about our pregnancy than we are.
No knock on her, but I was just like. It's just one of those things, like it's a major life thing for us, and because we're super into fitness, it's like it'd be great to find somebody who CrossFits, but that's difficult to find a like OBGYN. And we were already kind of late in the game, and you pointed out like, hey, we're kind of not at a stage where it's probably smart to switch doctors suddenly. Fair, but all that to say, like we were in, and she said she knows Kelley does CrossFit. She clearly doesn't like get CrossFit because she said don't lift it like 4 weeks in or 6 weeks in or whatever it was, maybe 12. 12 weeks in. She says, don't lift more than 15 pounds. And Kelley and I kind of look at each other like,
we're going to do that.
Well, and so
because it's relative. 15 pounds to you is like, or 15 pounds to her as a doctor. If she was pregnant, she's very skinny, very.
Yeah, but also what I think what disappoints me most about hearing something like that is when you think about the real world, fitness or not. things in
Yeah.
life weigh 15
Well,
pounds. And so that's
You said if you had like a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old,
a 2-year-old.
a 2-year-old, and you were yeah. And
So
you were
now you're
pregnant
saying,
again.
so now you're saying like moms who don't do fitness can't pick up their 2-year-old who might weigh 18. I don't know how big kids are, but
Not
like
even moms who don't do fitness. Just moms that are pregnant.
think about
Like,
going to Trader Joe's. Like I don't put my groceries in a cart to walk to my car.
Yeah.
Like I will not. I'm
2
against
bags of
it.
groceries is
15 pounds.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I'm asking these fitness related questions, and she's putting this number to it where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, don't lift this weight. That exists
So-
in everything I do in life.
Yeah, and I think the theory is, at least my working theory is that they kind of have to cover their ass as
For
far
sure.
as like malpractice and stuff, where like we don't have medical licenses, so we can tell people whatever we want
Yeah. Sure.
within reason.
Within
But
reason.
And
I'm being sarcastic, but
and
like,
so like I
you get-
take that information and again I process it, but it's also like, okay, it's relative. 15 pounds is laughable.
Yeah.
I'm going to lift what I'm comfortable with. And what am I comfortable with? It changes every single day. It's
Yep.
changed every week, every month. As I've gotten closer to being to full term, like it's what does it feel like today?
Yeah.
And what is the
So-
process your body's going through that truly determines whether or not you're able to lift that weight?
Yeah, for sure. So I want to break this down a little bit in terms of like what are the things that you read or were told that you should not do fitness wise?
Like flexion through the abdominals. So sit-ups, toes to bar. Were like the big ticket items. There's a lot like jumping because your balance is a little bit more unstable. You talk about like anything from a pull-up bar or like a rope climb where you're going to get elevated off the floor.
Yeah.
The risk of falling.
Yeah.
Getting inverted, going upside down. There are risks associated with that. So it's honestly like, what article do you look up? What information do you are you exposed to? And then a lot of it's just like comfort level. Pick and choose. And what I'm comfortable with isn't what another member might be comfortable with. And I think that's what
Yeah.
the point of this whole conversation is pre-pregnancy, when I was coaching pregnant women, I look at a movement and I'm like a toe to bar. Okay, it's an abdominal movement. We're using our abs, our hip flexors. We're
Meet me halfway.
using our abs, our hip flexors. We're hanging from a pull-up bar, so we've got the shoulders and the grip. And so I look at that and I think, as most coaches would, like, what's a replicable movement function? And that's, you try to relate it to that.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, how can I engage the abs?
But
And so then we think plank hold.
Sorry, I want to stay on point here before, because we'll get into all that, but
Okay.
I want to stay on point, like the do's and don'ts. And because I think it's important to point out like the why. So you pointed out and you kind of touched on it, but I want to really focus on it, like the box jumps, rope climbs, some of that stuff. Like those are don'ts because we were seeing Tia jump rope in the background. Pretty pregnant. Do we know how pregnant she was? Like how far along she was in that video?
Probably 7 to 8 months in that video.
So-
She's a month ahead of me.
Yeah, looks, obviously, looks like she's pretty far down the road.
That was like March.
Yeah, so that was
Jumping rope,
quarterfinals.
and I think a lot of people would be concerned about that. Are you jumping rope, or you jumping up and down? And I think the important thing is like, her body is very used to doing a lot of jumping, a lot of bounding. So her stabilizer muscles and all those things are very dialed in. She's got a very strong midline, so she's able to physically support that movement. And the reason people say not to box jump, rope climb, all that stuff is because of the inherent danger of the fall, not because of the activity necessarily.
So the risk of the fall, but then the jumping is the pressure that happens
Yeah.
in the pelvis that makes it difficult to hold your bladder or the muscles that you're trying to develop and train.
Your pelvic floor.
Correct. And so when we think about double unders, well, there's impact or stress to that pelvic floor that it's not worth it for some people, or we haven't developed our pelvic floor. So I think she's been doing double unders from the start of her pregnancy up until the end of it. I think there's still videos of her doing it. I've taken them, like, there's a lot of things that I can do. Like, I did that workout and I did double unders. But then there's just things that I'm choosing not to do. And
Yeah.
so double unders come up in our regular programming, and I'm like, there's no need for me to do it. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
prove
and I
anything
think
to anybody.
That's one of the other points I want to make. One is, like, I wanted to talk about the do's and don'ts, like the traditional, like, don'ts.
Yeah.
Like, don't lift X amount of weight, don't jump where they're at. And also, like, the relativity of the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
I bring up Tia because a lot of people in our space, you know, you're their Tia. Like, you're the fittest person they know and the most successful athlete. And, you know, we've talked about this a bunch in terms of, like, programming and whatever, and it's like you don't really understand how fit some people are until you're actually near them. It's like, yeah, you can watch the games or whatever, and it's like so many things. Like, it's like professional athletes, like basketball. Yeah, you can watch an NBA game, but like you don't really understand how athletic and good those guys are at basketball until you get on a court with them or realize how huge they are.
It's like hearing someone say $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a number.
It's hard to wrap your head around. So I think it's important to point out that relationship between the relevance between, like, Tia and you and the rest of the population, like, and beyond that, the choices you're making and why you're making them. Because you and I kind of brought up earlier, like, she's got more of an impetus or a motivation to train at a higher level. Not to say she's putting herself necessarily at more risk, but she has maybe a little bit of a higher bar. She's also got cameras on her every single day.
Yeah.
Wanting to know how she's doing. And
I mean, her livelihood is based off of
exactly
building a platform.
And you are, do you know how old Tia is offhand?
I think I'm 10 years older than her. So that also is something that has
You're being a little more
significant-
cautious because you and I are coming up on 40 this year.
Yeah.
And
I'm more thinking about the road to recovery, not that she's not, but I know that 10 years that separates the two
it's
of
a
us
different
is
situation.
substantial.
Yep.
Yeah.
so while
She's
you
29 currently.
10 years. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, nailed on the head. So like during the open, you did a couple of strict muscle ups.
Yeah.
Um,
But I didn't do toes to bar. So that's where we were different.
yeah.
Like,
You were just being a little more cautious, and you were telling me all the way through, like, yeah, I can do those things. I have the strength to do it. I'm physically able to, but it's not worth the risk to me. Coning the separation of the ab, whatever that's called, whatever the medical term is for that, has been a concern for you because it's just like a hurdle you don't want to have to deal with.
Yeah.
But that said, your training has looked. I guess talk us through your training, like volume.
I
Load, all that
5
kind
to
of
6
stuff.
days a week. I would say the last several weeks I've been working less, and by working less I mean traveling less. So while I was probably, from the start of my pregnancy to about month 7 or 8, I was on the road almost every week, and so those fitness days are a little bit different. It's like lunch hour, get into something, get out of something. But for me, even on days where I am tired, hurt, sore, achy, feeling my lowest, moving has been my saving grace. Like, I feel better when I work out. So I try to move 6 days a week. I would say I'm actually doing like a workout 5 days a week. And then that 6th day is like just hopping on a bike or maybe taking the dogs for at least an hour walk. But I'm trying to get physical activity in 6 days a week, and it's been super helpful. Like, I didn't train yesterday. I took the dogs for a super long walk, and then I cleaned and worked at the house all day. So I'm like constantly moving and constantly on the go. So it's 1 hour a day taking class generally, or doing the class workout at a time that's convenient for me, and modifying it as much as possible.
Are you getting tired of certain movements?
The bike. If you know me, like, the bike has and will always be the worst thing ever. Like rowing, I have a hard time putting effort into a row.
Yeah.
I don't have a full range of motion, and my range of motion was never that great to begin with.
Sure.
So I don't row.
You're skiing a lot.
So I ski a ton and I bike a ton, and I hate biking. And I don't, like, I hope that I've gotten better at biking because I've biked so much, both the C2 bike and the Echo bike the last few months. But my output is definitely significantly lower, but my heart rate gets high really fast. My power output is less. So I'm assuming that's because I've got a baby growing inside of me. So I'm anxious to see how that transitions.
Do you know, and maybe Sean, you could Google this really quick, but do you know what being pregnant does to your resting heart rate? Or blood pressure?
I can't speak. Well, there are two things that they monitor. Right? There are two things that
you can hold that microphone if you want. You don't have to like sit forward. You can take it out of there and just hold it, but you need to talk into it.
I just thought if I sat
you don't have to be super close, but you need
louder.
to talk like at the microphone.
Or all eyes on you, Sean.
Did you find it?
During pregnancy, the amount of blood pumped by the heart increases by 30 to 50%.
Wow.
As cardiac output increases, the heart rate at rest speeds up from a normal pre-pregnancy rate of about 70 beats per minute to as high as 90 beats per minute.
At rest?
Yes.
Resting heart rate?
It effectively raises it by...
Man,
was that 30%?
Whose resting heart rate is 70?
Not mine.
Mine's like 50. Or in the 40s.
I mean, because we're in the fitness industry.
Are normal people's resting heart
Yes.
rates at
Also,
70?
I
That's
would
insane.
say...
It is.
I would say it says... with a rate of about 70 beats per minute at rest. So, like, when you're, like, at work, it's like your resting heart rate's generally taken...
I'm at work.
I know, but, like, your resting heart rate's generally taken, like, at the moment you wake up where it's at its least. and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just stationary.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you look at your heart rate, probably now it's probably, what, in the...
51.
51? Well, you
Like,
know what?
it's live.
I'm trying to stick up
Like,
for...
my resting... If I look at like my average, like if I pull up the Garmin app and look at like my resting, it's usually a little bit under 50. So that's the average throughout the whole day.
And that's the resting heart rate of somebody who's fit.
Just very
Like
moderately
that's how we
fit.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I know.
I know. I'm
But that's why when I was at the doctor
thought,
the other
like,
day and they thought like we should have studied
Yeah.
you because they clearly don't work with a lot of physically fit
Yeah.
people because they're like your blood pressure and your heart rate are
low.
like as good as we have seen.
Yeah.
Yet you're 40.
Well,
we
if-
thought you were going to be high risk,
If
and
you're
here I
talking
am.
70 beats per minute and I'm at, for normal and we're at, does yours say what yours is right now?
Yeah, I'm at 70, and
Are you really?
And I'm pre-pregnancy. It almost never went above 50.
Yeah.
For my resting
Yeah.
heart rate.
So
yeah.
that checks out.
I wish this would work. This is supposed to be a chart depicting resting heart rate during and after pregnancy, but...
But like, and so initially,
Thanks, Whoop.
Initially, that's one of the early signs of
What
like
browser are
I
you
think
using,
I'm
Sean?
pregnant.
Safari?
Yeah.
It could be a browser issue.
Where like I do a workout and all of a sudden, like my heart rate would shoot through the roof and I was just kind of in a panic and it was like,
Well, that's what made me curious about that.
Am I pregnant
'Cause
or
you're
do I have
pumping-
COVID?
Yeah, you're pumping blood through a whole nother person's system, effectively,
Yeah.
or a small being. Yeah, boy, Whoop's website's not too friendly with Safari, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that $30 a month from everyone isn't really paying
Sheesh.
for much.
Not, guys, up your Safari budget.
Well, this is Chrome.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
It's even worse. Chrome's usually the most.
Firefox.
I don't have Fire. I'm not going to download a new browser.
Hey, shit, go download Fire. Yeah, I have Firefox, but
So I would say like that's been a big part of workouts is managing heart rate, right? A lot of articles will say, especially in early pregnancy, kind of be able to have conversations during your workouts.
yeah.
Use that as a gauge.
Yeah.
And those workouts where I'm like what was that bike workout we did the other day? The bike and
burpee.
squat clean one, maybe? Oh, no, it was just the bikes,
Devil's-
150 cals.
Oh. I'm going to say we did a devil's press thing the other day with bike.
And when your effort gets below a certain amount.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I'm going to go all in today.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to really try. And I
that
mean,
drained you for days.
oh, that ruined me.
You were hurting a lot.
And it was
and
based
John.
off of your power output. And my power output was, I mean, I think I got up to 330 in pre-pregnancy. Like I could
That's
hit
watts on the Echo Bike.
500 watts or 600 watts. So my output would have been double.
Yeah.
And I was at half that
Yeah.
and it ruined me for.
I mean, I can just imagine, because I've had days where I've like over caffeinated and it just seems like my resting heart rate's super high. And as soon as I try to do anything physical, it's just like your heart rate jumps through the roof, and it's difficult, extremely difficult to do anything. But also the important part of that is probably like your reference point. Because we see this with people when they have, and what I kind of wanted to transition this conversation towards at some point is like the not at all, for anyone listening, I don't think pregnancy is an injury or an illness, but to relate to like an injury or illness scenario, like your expectation of what your body's capable of needs to change. And that's the difficult piece of this puzzle sometimes, is like, I know I can do 500 to 600 watts on this bike, and you jump out going, here I go. I'm going to shave a little bit off that. And you don't realize like it's actually half of that.
I think most of us had
30
COVID,
to 50%.
And that's kind of the same. It was the same conversation I had with people coming back from COVID.
Yeah. Your expectations need to be prepared to.
Yeah.
Like, it's a judgment-free workout space. Like
It's also the same conversation with people that have been out of the gym for a while that are coming back.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have a couple members that are coming back into things. It's like, you can't do what you used to do right now. Like, obviously that's going to get better, but.
Well, and I think that's the big part of it, is just, it's okay to check the box. Like, not every day needs to be.
I bring that up like once a week.
All like not all in intense. I think like that's the misconception that people have of CrossFit, right? Like every workout I should be like rolling on the floor, sizzling like bacon, near vomit.
Bacon.
Sizzling like bacon. I've never heard that.
And you're like, and the reality is, I would say most of my workouts have been check the box workouts. I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to prove anything.
Yeah.
I am trying to sweat because it's good for me and it's good for the health of the baby. Makes me feel better. Hopefully allows my delivery to be a little bit more smooth. Who knows? Maybe it won't. But like whatever you're coming back from, it is okay to just check the box.
I think that, I think it'll be like your, like Liz's, your sister-in-law again. What was their second baby? Your brother dropped her off at the hospital doors, went to go park the car, and by the time he got into the hospital, the delivery was over.
No.
Basically.
She had the baby in
30 minutes or something.
Yeah, 15-minute drive to the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I've been
so
sneezing
funny.
a lot. I'm really concerned about what's going to happen. But no. I don't want that either. So a little bit of a.
Yeah. I think that is an important conversation or like point to make, is like there are people, we've talked about this kind of in one way or another multiple times, but that kind of approach to injury, that approach to setbacks, that, because really in a way it's like, it is a little bit of a setback. It's like, I can't lift as much as I can right now, and that you have to battle with that. What does this mean? It's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to be lifting a little bit less for a while. And it's another thing to actually like have to live through that or do it. And it's hard sometimes mid-workout to accept. I mean, I deal with that right now because I've kind of dialed back my training a little bit. I'm getting older. I've had like an elbow injury going on. So I approach workouts where I'm like, oh, I used to own a 70-pound dumbbell. Like snatches, single arm thrusters or whatever, like 70s just did not scare me for the most part. And now it's like, I really have to think twice about approaching a 70-pound dumbbell snatch.
But I think we really need to remember, and I want our members to remember that like it's 99%, if not greater than that, self-imposed. It is a pressure you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel very comfortable and confident in where I am in my fitness. And I've been successful. I've done the competition scene, and not that I'm never going to compete as a masters again, but that's not my priority. And I'm okay lifting an empty barbell and that being it for the day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't look around and be like, Andrew's judging me for what I'm lifting. Like, I don't care what you think. And I think
yeah, Andrew.
I'm like very confident.
That's my big takeaway.
But I think like a lot of times you get so caught up in your own, like, I could do this one time. Well, remember one time 10 years ago, we were all training 4 hours a day because we all just had no pressure and no like responsibilities, and life was simpler. And so as far as the general population goes, or our membership goes, like the concerns that you have or the fears that you have, remember they're likely self-imposed, there's not another member that looks at you and is just like, how come you're not lifting 10 pounds heavier? Or how come you're not doing the full reps today? Or how come you're not like fist bump, high five, check the box, and walk away and be like, I could have done more, as opposed to walking away and being mad at yourself.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm in a good place with that.
Yeah. And Rob Schmidgens, of course, just threw us a comment that I put up on the screen, but reminded me that his wife, Teresa, just joined. Shout out Teresa for joining the master's class, which is like, she was kind of struggling postpartum and figuring out like how fitness kind of fit into her life. And I think having some difficulty with that, coming to like a 5:20 p.m. class where there's 25 people and she's got all this stuff in her head about what she used to be able to do and what she should be able to do, and kind of removing herself from that situation and coming to a master's class where I'm pre-scaling workouts for you. Like, you've heard me talk about the master's class before, I use the workout of the day, but some days I'll pretty much wipe the slate clean and just go, hey, there's heavy power snatches or whatever. I'm just tossing all this out the window and we're going to do something else. So it's not like you're not in charge of your scaling as much. Yeah. And I feel like she's really thriving. She's only been in a couple times to masters, but it's a really environment where she can thrive because the expectation and the pressure is so much lower. And she comes in today and it's like, I know she can lift more weight than she was doing. Like, that's not what it's about every day. It's a 22-minute EMOM style workout. Like, get through it, check the box, get that high five, get your endorphins. Yeah,
and learn how to move your body again and get comfortable and build confidence and build range of motion. And like, obviously I'm not where she's at yet. So she's 11 months postpartum. And so I can't predict my future, but I hope that my mindset is where it is today, where it's low pressure, low stress. I'm not trying to do things that I'm not yet capable of.
It could get more difficult. Like, this might be the easy part of scaling and adjusting.
But I also know, like, one thing that I think has also made it difficult for me to recover is nutrition. And I've eaten really well throughout my pregnancy, but I also, like, you're supposed to intake about 200-ish more calories as you progress through your pregnancy, and I can't eat.
Yeah.
There's no room for food to go anywhere, and that affects my recovery.
I don't know why it's funny to me, but if Kelley has a too big of a meal or eats too late in the day, she just vomits for like 2 hours every night. From she just like 10:30, she'll been laying in bed for an hour and a half, and she'll just get up, go vomit for a while.
If I eat too late or too much, too late in the day, and I lay down,
it just comes right back up.
It comes right back up, which has been very unpleasant. But that's the worst thing I've dealt with so far.
So if everybody's like, well, how's it going? How you feeling? Whatever. And it's like, well, aside from the occasional just vomiting spell for an hour.
The third trimester morning sickness, which happens at midnight.
Yeah, you're going to accidentally have a baby on the bathroom floor one of these nights.
But yeah, nutrition has been challenging. So it's eat small meals frequently.
Joe Yarbrough in the comments. What's up, Joe?
Joe, blast from the past.
Joe of Joe and Digna.
Yeah. They must have like a 17-year-old.
Oh.
He's probably like 4, but it's been a while.
Maybe he'll chime back in and let us know if he's still.
I think at the end of the day, what I really want the coaches at our gym to know and understand, and we've had meetings about this, and coaches development sessions about it, but also the members who are pregnant or have partners are pregnant to know that, again, it's okay to check the box, but also that I'm in a position that like I haven't looked at the coach and been like, what should I do today? I just walk in and I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And a lot of it is based upon what I feel like doing. And
Joe's child is 8.5. He let us know.
Oh, wow.
Congrats, Joe.
Congrats.
Hope you guys are doing well.
A lot of it's just like, what do I feel like doing that is closest to not necessarily the movement function, but the stimulus of the movement. Yeah. And so I was talking about toes to bar earlier, where it's like beforehand you'd be like, we want like hip flexor abdominals, some other ab movement. Well, like there's not a lot of ab movements available, and I don't like doing plank
Yeah.
holds. They're not comfortable for me. And also
neither.
it doesn't affect it doesn't give me that like heart rate. Like I used to do 50 toes to bar unbroken. A plank hold doesn't do that for me. So I
in
hop on the
that way-
skier or grab a kettlebell swing.
Yeah, and in that way, it is similar to an injury where, like, if you had, we've got a member, Brett, that's in a boot right now, and it's like, you have to stop thinking sometimes of like, well, what can we get him that's closest in stimulus to a box jump? It's like, well, there really isn't anything because he's in a boot. Like, you're just gonna have to, and that's when I tell people, like, when it comes to scaling and like my kind of checking the box philosophy is like, don't stress as much about the exact stimulus. Like, think about the broad stimulus of the workout, but not the movement. It's like, yeah, when you come up on toes to bar, it's like, just throw something else in there. It could be a squat. Doesn't matter. Like, just do something.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the hardest things for people to get around when they have a limitation, whatever it is, injury, illness, whatever. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah. Well, and for the members who are dealing with an injury or limitation, it's also okay to be like, I don't want to do that. Because I have suggested things to our members who have been injured or have been pregnant, and they're like, okay. And you can tell that they're just like underwhelmed or not excited about that. Like, I've even asked you because I want more ideas, and I'm like, what should I do? And you'll give me something, and I'll just walk away and be like,
Not gonna
do that.
It's just like trying to get you to commit to a restaurant. It's like the same.
When I hear what I want, I know
I'll give you
it.
a 3, and you don't like any of them.
Yeah. But like, it's okay to not want to do the movement that's been offered.
You liked the lat pull down though. We got you hot on the lat pull down.
And then there came a point where it was.
But we have a lat pull down station at our home gym.
Yeah.
Where you can hook your knees under.
That might help. Yeah.
And you're gonna love that. That's one of my favorite pieces of equipment.
So I've defaulted a lot to bodybuilding movements. Like, I'm vain.
yeah.
I still want the pump. I still want
Bicep
And I
curls.
support.
Biceps.
I support that.
Yeah.
I'm
So.
about those aesthetics. I like a.
But think outside
love
the box.
a female with a bicep vein. I'm about that life.
Yeah, that's been
We were looking at old.
There was 1 month where you did bicep curls every day.
every day.
Yeah. We were
Tabata bicep curl, just
Google
different
Google
iterations.
Photos pops up with like a slideshow once in a while for me. That's like, here's a collection of Kelley Jackson photos of the last handful of years, and there was a photo of her from even just the Masters games, which is relatively recent.
2 years
And
ago.
we're like, look at your biceps. She was like
Yes.
checking in, just doing a little pose like this.
As tan too.
Jacked and tan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Gym
got
tan laundry.
aspirations to get back there,
Yeah.
but like also, I mean, since we went to the last doctor's appointment and I jumped on the scale and they're like, "Oof, you're losing weight." That's like they're all concerned, and Andrew's just like, "She's losing muscle," and I was like, "I know."
Well,
so I came into the gym that
yeah.
day and did hours.
And
of
I didn't mean it
bicep
like that. I
curls.
just meant like that's truly something that these doctors don't
think about.
It doesn't
They're not
occur to
used
them.
to it,
Yeah.
right? Like-
Right.
But like you don't realize this woman was carrying 15 to 20 pounds of probably extra muscle
Yeah.
compared to a normal human at any given time. Even
Arguably way more than that.
yeah. Well, I just mean like even more than just like a regular fit person.
Yeah.
Like somebody who works out, because they're just like, oh yeah, she's fit, but they don't understand like she lifts weights.
Yeah.
Like she's dense. She has like, she's benching, she's doing pull-ups,
Yeah.
she's building up her body strength, and even though she has a kind of petite overall form, like she still, carries a lot of muscle. Which is what?
I said,
Just
"Oh,
giving me a look like,
keep going."
where are you going? Keep going.
Actually, keep bragging on me,
Yeah.
please. What else do you like?
Well, I just think that even to a non-medical professional, like you're not somebody who presents as like big and muscular. Like even at your fittest, like, yeah, you look super fit, but no one would be like, not like a bodybuilder or power lifter or something like that.
You don't
Yeah,
look
but
like
except
you're
for-
taking exogenous testosterone.
just random,
That's fair, but
just
also
random people in the airport.
comment on me all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I meant in the scheme of like the fitness world. Like if you have
Yeah,
a
no.
270-pound bodybuilder come in here, they're not going to look at you and go, "Oh, there's so much muscle."
Yeah.
I just meant it's all relative. Like
Yeah, every TSA
don't
agent
misunderstand
asked
me.
how much I bench.
yeah, every 10th person in the airport has to at least give you an up and down eyeball, and every 20th person has to comment on your calves or something, or like ask you what you do for fitness or something.
What is your all-time best bench press?
180.
Nice. I don't have context for that. Felt like we brought
You?
up the question. It's 180.
180 is
honestly.
about 180 was probably like 1.5 body weight ish, kind of in that realm.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I haven't done a 1 rep in a while. Oh, we did 1 reps at the qualifier last year or something.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah. But that was, I mean, if I'm not benching,
Yeah.
that goes down fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best? Speaking of which, what's the best conversation or comment or question you've gotten like on your body or your fitness?
There's just been a lot of people are shocked that I still work out, and like that's the words they use. Do you still work out? And I'm like,
Oh, since you've been pregnant?
yeah.
I mean, like all time.
Oh, all
Like,
time.
Not even just since pregnancy.
Oh.
Rob says Kelley does have elite calves.
Andrew.
He misspelled calves, but he corrected it later.
Oh,
but
I was like, clavicles?
claves. Kelley does have pretty elite claves.
I mean, and my calves are one of the reasons Andrew and I ever got together.
I mean, let's not say that. All I'm saying is the guy that my like workout partner in college, like we used to refer to Kelley as the calf master because she had just dynamite calves. It wasn't like the reason I was attracted to you, but it was a
Didn't hurt.
add-on bonus.
Like
I mean, she really just had
it's
great-
like heated seats in a car.
Yeah, it's like it's not the reason I like a car, but I'm not trying to buy a car without him. You know, you don't go like, oh, I'm getting the new Kia Telluride because of the heated seats, but it's like I'm not gonna buy a whatever without him. I'm not gonna buy an M5 without heated seats.
Can you imagine?
I did one time, and it was.
What are we, a bunch of pores?
I was so excited. I bought a brand new car, drove it home off the lot, and Andrew was like, "Does it have everything?" And I said, "Yeah."
She goes, "Yeah, it's loaded." And I was like, "Well, it doesn't have heated seats."
So loaded with
I'd
what?
never been so sad. I
looking-
didn't even know they made cars without heated
Kelley
seats
went
anymore.
and bought a brand new car in Michigan while I was in St. Louis, and she was so proud of herself. Like, I did this without you, and I was like, "You shouldn't have."
Even
Hey,
Mara
that's-
knows at this point. We
Yeah.
don't buy a car
Yeah.
without
Lessons
Andrew.
learned. Now I just drive whatever he tells me to drive.
What is, and I will say too, not to, hang on it or pat you on the back too hard, but I've tried to become more conscious in the last handful of years about just like body language and people in public, just like the way people look at you and interact and that kind of thing. Just one of the things that I realized in my younger years, I never paid attention to like because people are always like, don't pay attention to what other people think. It's not important. And it's like, yeah, it actually is pretty important, like how people are responding to you or receiving you or interpreting you or whatever. So I just like driving, we were talking about driving the smart car, and it's like you start to notice how people look at you and interact with you differently because you're driving this little shoe of a car. And all that to say that I've noticed the way people look at Kelley being pregnant. It's like we went to dinner the other night and we're just leaving, and it's like we get up and we're on a patio, and every single person on this patio is watching us walk to our car because they're just like, this super fit, very pregnant woman. It's like, and she's not wearing like super revealing clothing or anything. It's just like, not like everybody's jaw on the floor staring or whatever. It just was funny that I like glanced over and it's like everyone was looking in our direction, and I know it's not because of me. But in admiration, I'm sure,
Yeah.
because that's the concept everybody has is like, how do you, to us it seems relatively normal. Like I don't look at her like, again, relativity. Like you look at like Tia Toomey and you're like, she's way more fit as a pregnant woman and looks very different to us than Kelley does. I'm sure even to you, but still to 90% of the population, you're an absolute freak in the best way possible. I mean, and that's fascinating to me.
Well, thank you. I mean, I didn't really notice it until Belize, but
Yeah, because you're in a bikini most of the time.
Well, yeah,
Well-
and you're oblique, sir.
and
Oh,
well,
yeah.
and
More
you get-
defined than anyone
I feel
will
like you
ever
leave
be.
the United States and people are way more vocal in
Yeah.
communicating their thoughts, like men are. I mean, even women
Oh yeah, like in Belize, guys were like
stopping me on my bike.
borderline trying to hit on you while I'm there.
Yeah.
and you're pregnant. It's
Andrew
like,
got more fist bumps in
it's
Belize
like, bro, this is
than he does in the gym. They're like, great.
So we all need to start fist bumping Andrew more.
Yeah.
Good work, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I could use a fist bump once in a while. Would it really? Is it too much to ask?
No, it's been fun. It's been a wild ride, and I'm glad that I've been able to experience this both like personally, but like also professionally, because it's huge as somebody in the fitness industry to be able to take the information that I've learned and realize that there are no, like, pregnancy is not black and white, and I knew that.
There's not a one size fits all.
Yeah, and these are all things that you know, but until you experience it, it's really hard to communicate it, and it's really hard to have your clients trust that you're like, I know what you're going through, I know what you're feeling, like that's a normal feeling, where beforehand it was just kind of like.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the primary reasons I wanted us to have a kid, was that so we would have a leg to stand on to coach other people, because I'm tired of. No, I'm kidding. I'm just tired of us having opinions about other people's kids and pregnancy, and them telling us you don't understand.
Yeah. Nutrition will be interesting.
Like your nutrition post.
Yeah, and child's nutrition and.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Lots of chicken nuggets.
Dinosaur shaped.
Yeah, because we know
Only
people
the finest for
Luigi. Definitely people Kelley works with on seminar staff that have, I feel like, been very successful with their child's nutrition from the sounds of it. But people tell you all day long, like, oh, you don't know, you can't get your kid to eat vegetables, like they're just gonna eat whatever. And our opinion has always kind of been like, hey, I know you don't have 100% control, but like you do have, there are ways to do it. But we just
also, if you're not eating vegetables, your kid's probably not going to want to eat vegetables. And so,
vegetables.
like, there's even, I mean, like, that's why I think nutrition while pregnant has been an easier thing for me. Like, I've deviated and I've indulged, but like.
That's how I got into fitness. My dad had weightlifting always had like dumbbells and stuff, and he always worked out. And it just became normal to me. And then there was stuff down in the basement, and I would just go down and like, oh, I'm going to do some bicep curls or whatever and check it out. Same, it applies to all aspects.
Yeah. But I've food wise, like everything I put in my body, I'm essentially feeding this child. So.
Yeah. So sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar. No,
all day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll if we're getting close to the end of time, so if there's any talking points, I
mean, I think the big thing is trust your gut when it comes to working out. It's okay to check the box.
Yeah, and the one big thing we didn't touch on that I think is important that we always talk about with this is like, people talk about, is it safe to do this or not do this during pregnancy? And one of the big points there is, if you weren't doing this pre-pregnancy, you're probably like, is it safe to get inverted? I think that was a big thing, and we kind of glossed over it a little bit, but like, yeah, it is relatively safe. I mean, you said there were some concerns about that, but like, yeah, it's definitely possible. But like, if you could barely do a handstand pre-pregnancy or couldn't do a handstand, like, don't start working on it during pregnancy. That's just
general rule to follow in most things in life.
And the stuff, like, we played a video of Tia working out, and it's like, these are all things and weights that she is very, very confident with. Like, yes, she did a thruster at like 195 or whatever, but like her non-pregnancy thruster would have been significantly more probably. And that's still like an amazing weight. And you're like, she still put up a super respectable number, but it's like, she's also very confident.
Taking a context to it is. And
she's a professional athlete. She's very aware of what her body's capable of.
And you're watching her quality of movement. Like, that's a big thing too. Like, the weights I'm choosing to lift, you're preserving the mechanics or the technique.
And the average
movement.
individual who doesn't belong to a gym like ours or doesn't do CrossFit, like, isn't aware of what their body's capable of at any time, let alone during pregnancy. It's one of my favorite things about CrossFit. We talk about when we talk about like the basics of it or whatever, is like just being aware of what you're capable of. Like, even in my, lack of, what I would call lackluster level of fitness at this point in my life, I'm still very aware of what I can lift, carry, move, all that. And it's like, somebody asked me like, oh, do you need help moving that? And it's just like, no, I don't. I know I can't deadlift 500 pounds right now or anymore, but like I have no problem moving a table or a chair or whatever. It's like, you're just that confidence. Yeah. I mean, you're still moving. And people are like, you shouldn't be doing that when you're pregnant. And you're like, I'm very aware of what I'm capable of moving. Yeah. And yes, this changes that, but I'm also very aware of how that changes that. And that's kind of the important point to make.
Yeah.
So the big takeaway there is figure out and learn and educate yourself on what your body's capable of, whatever state of life you're in. Be aware.
And ask questions. And if somebody tells you to do something and it doesn't feel good, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that speaks to maybe us with inside the gym. Like, if I tell you to do something and you don't like doing it.
That's the reality of our podcast and all the media that we produce. It is mostly for people inside the gym. So don't be afraid to. It's not like we're addressing 100,000 listeners that don't.
And what works for me doesn't work for
yet.
Sean or Mara or the other several women. Not other several women, because neither you nor Mara are pregnant. But I was just naming people in general.
She might be. We don't have.
We really don't have an up to the minute verdict on that.
Mara, can you update us on that? But yeah, like you might coach somebody at the noon class who is 6 months pregnant and give them a great scaling option for them, and they might leave satisfied. And then you're going to get somebody at the 3 o'clock class that needs something completely different, not because they're not capable, but because it just doesn't work for them. And so be prepared to deviate.
I think that's the case with all scaling. It should be a conversation.
Yeah.
Not just a do this or
absolutely.
else.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, as always, let us know in the comments. We will be alerted to the comments, so feel free to leave a comment on here if you have questions.
Are we gonna
comments or concerns?
Podcast the delivery? Too much?
Yeah, audio only. ASMR.
Video only. Get rid of the audio. She's just gonna be yelling.
Gross. We're not doing that. It's a joke. Before anyone leaves a comment, speaking of leaving comments.
I mean, everything's got a price.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Kelley. Let's see. There's Kelley. There's me. I'm just putting our names back up on the screen really quick. I've been Andrew Essig. That's been my wife, Kelley Jackson.
Essig.
/Essig. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of, it's not official. This has been Kelley. Oh, yeah. Damn, I should have put that on there. Kelley and Luigi. A little name right under that, like a smaller one. All right. Well, next time. We'll get you on the podcast one more time before we...
just for the bit.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. This has been the Gambit Stratagem Podcast. Thanks, everyone, for listening and or watching, and we will see you next time.